Welcome back to 60K. This week, Bitcoin made a move that not many expected, reaching prices less than 10% away from its all-time high. Whether it's the parabolic trend, the trapped liquidity short squeeze, the candle close cluster from 2021 being our next target zone, or even the RSI behavior being reminiscent of 2017 parabolic trend, everything we've discussed on this channel has played out to a T. So if you guys enjoy an analysis that keeps you on track with the trend, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to go the extra mile, join the Patreon. There are a lot of benefits. You can read the description. I'm not going to explain it. Now let's get back to the content. So first things first, welcome back to 60K. Bitcoin is currently trading above 61,000 as I'm recording this video. Looking at the weekly chart, zooming in here, we can see Bitcoin is now continuing the parabolic trend that we've been discussing for a year. And we have successfully played out the trapped liquidity short squeeze. And when you have a rejection wick that is 45% or more larger than the candle body inside of a bullish trending market, if you break that wick high, it converts to a 1 to 1.5, the size of that candle, landing us at 60,000. So we've played out the trapped liquidity short squeeze. And you can see looking at the liquidations here, the shorts have been getting squeezed heavily. Today we saw some volatility up and down. So the longs have just started to get some squeezing, but the shorts took a lot of the heat here recently. And not only that, Bitcoin has reached the 2021 candle body close cluster. That was the next major area of interest. We are currently fighting that zone. If you look at that weekly candle close cluster from 2021, you'll see that the highest weekly candle close, the resistance zone, was sitting just around 60,000. If Bitcoin can close a weekly above 60,000, which would be above the candle body cluster zone from 2021, that could indicate continuation to the upside, which I know sounds crazy at this point, but maybe it sounds less crazy now that it's all actually playing out. In 2021, that is what we did. In fact, we kind of just sliced through the all-time high back in 2017 as well. As we entered the end of 2016 into 2017, we kind of just sliced through the all-time high. There was some resistance, a couple weeks up and down, but ultimately got through it without much trouble. Every time it seems like Bitcoin just puts in that next all-time high with haste. Now, would I be surprised to see resistance here? Not at all. We do have the halving event coming up, and with a major event like that, it does open up the opportunity as a profit-taking zone. And we have another month or month and a half until the halving takes place. And we are closer to the all-time high than ever before. We are never this close to the all-time high before the halving. And if Bitcoin continues its trajectory here, we may see a major push into new all-time highs before the halving even takes place. And then once the halving does take place, that's when you could see a major sell the news event, a fake out back below the all-time high, churn the market, and then open up a sea of liquidity to create an accumulation zone below the all-time high before pushing up again. This is the scenario that seems most likely to me right now. And the reason why something like this is likely is because going into the halving, it's a bullish event, or at least that's how it's perceived. And anybody that wants to buy Bitcoin is probably going to buy Bitcoin going into the halving, before the halving. Everyone that wants to buy is going to buy, which is going to send the prices even higher, possibly to a new all-time high. And if everybody that wants to buy does buy, then it's going to create a short-term cap on growth, where once we hit the halving and everyone that wants to buy does buy, there's a cap on growth in the short term. Everyone's in. And what happens when everyone's in? The price has an easier time seeing downside. And at that point, the larger players in this market can be certain that after the halving, everyone that wanted to buy did buy, and that creates a local top, a short-term cap on growth. Short-term cap on growth is the key word there, opening up the opportunity for a major swing down to churn up those FOMO buyers, to have them exit in a panic at the next low below the all-time high, to then push for the real all-time high break. It would be the perfect profit-taking opportunity with the perfect reaccumulation opportunity. And if I was going to think in the mind of a larger player in this market, this is the kind of opportunity that I would love to take advantage of. And yeah, this is heavily speculative, this whole scenario I just laid out. But if I was going to give you my most likely scenario, it would be something like this. Now, what's drawn on the chart right now does not account for specific targets. Let's figure that out. In terms of exact targets, I mean, it's probably difficult to say. If you take your fibs from high to low, our first major fib target comes in actually at 100,000. Maybe you could fib the ETF rejection zone and look for a target at the 4236, which actually comes in really close to where I drew here. So that would be a target of 83,000 on an all-time high break, followed by a retrace fibbing from the ETF rejection bottom to the next potential high. I mean, that would land us at about 49,000 roughly before getting support and continuing up. Push up to 84,000, pull back to 50,000, reaccumulate, and then run up again. And again, this would be driven by the short-term cap on growth going into the halving. Everyone that wants to buy does buy, opening up the opportunity to orchestrate a move down to free up liquidity to reaccumulate at lower levels, your sort of final dip buy before the true bull market begins. And this is where you get your all-time high volatility. Now, in 2020 to 2021, we didn't really see any all-time high volatility. If you look, we kind of just went up and went straight through it. And a lot of people just say, well, it happened there, it's going to happen again. I mean, I'm not so sure about that. Recently, I released an indicator called Global Liquidity Index (parentheses candles), which maps the global liquidity of all the central banks. And if you take a look, you can see that in 2020, 2021, we had the floodgates of money printer just open up, and that helped us sort of just go straight through the all-time high without any breaks. And in the halving before that, in 2016, 2017, yes, the global liquidity was increasing, but we still had some all-time high volatility. If you take a look, Bitcoin's price was struggling for a little bit to get above its all-time high going into the beginning of 2017. So the money printer was on, but a little bit less so than it was in 2020. Right now, the money printer is not on, right? The global liquidity index is showing lower highs, lower lows. So because of that, it's less likely that we have that epic upside pressure that just gets us through the all-time highs, just immediately continuing to push. I think we're going to see a little bit of all-time high action, volatility, bit of a shakeup. And then by the time we have this shakeup taking place, global liquidity may start to tick up again. And that's when we see the true full bull cycle play out going into the first half of 2025. Now, yeah, this is highly speculative, guys, but I know that this is what my viewers want right now. They want me to give them the scenario that I think is most likely, and this is it. This is what I think is likely to happen. Something along these lines. The price targets may be slightly different. Maybe we don't go as high as 84,000. Maybe we go higher. Maybe it's lower. Maybe we don't pull back to as far as 49,000. Maybe it's a little bit shallower. The general targets may be different, but what I'm saying is huge profit taking right above the all-time high with huge reaccumulation below the all-time high, giving us some classic all-time high volatility and action before we continue up. That's my prediction, guys. That is what I think is most likely, and we'll see if it plays out. So far, so good. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel. And once again, this is your last opportunity to get into Patreon at these low prices. The prices will be going up, but you can lock these prices in for a lifetime by joining today. You get direct access to me in the Discord chat. We talk about the Bitcoin trend. We also do altcoin picks. Since November, when I started this new portfolio, starting from a low value portfolio, trying to get it to a high value. I mean, we've had like 13 altcoins that are up 100, 2, 3, 4, 500%. 13 picks already that are just flying. So the altcoins are a good opportunity, and we do focus on that in the Discord. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.